good one for you tonight. Oh, I see. What is up, guys? Welcome back. We got another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show for you tonight, 7 o'clock Central Time. We got a big night tonight. It's election night here, so we're gonna go a little bit different tonight. We're just gonna just review the waiver wire tonight. If you guys do have start-sit questions, I did put a comment in the thing. Just save your start-sit questions for either tomorrow or Thursday night. It's Tuesday night. I don't want to hear any start-sit questions. Let's just focus on the waiver wire and get you guys a good show for the evening. I'm going to read the injuries that we're monitoring for week 10, and then I'll kind of recap my waiver wire. Not a great waiver wire week here, so hopefully you guys are all in good shape already and don't need too many things. We're basically just on handcuff season, but injuries to monitor. We're going to start with the quarterbacks. We had a big one here, Dak Prescott with the hamstring injury on IR. Maybe we see him back week 14, which would be the last week of the regular season. I think if you have Dak Prescott, we're probably looking elsewhere for a quarterback here. I'll talk about some of the quarterback replacements that I think could be nice. Caleb Williams, ankle injury. I don't know how severe this is, but I do think Caleb Williams has a chance to play. Justin Fields, they're saying he had a hamstring injury. They're saying that he should be fine for this weekend as the backup. Will Levis, shoulder injury. Not sure if we're going to see him. Mason Rudolph won last weekend, so maybe we see Will Levis have one more chance to hold off Will Levis. Christian McCaffrey, I guess we're on running backs now. Christian McCaffrey, Achilles injury. I'm expecting him to play. I saw his projection was like 18 or something points on ESPN. I don't think he's going to be like a locked-in top 5 running back right away. I kind of want to see him eased in and see how it goes. But if you have McCaffrey, we're starting him this weekend. Brian Robinson Jr. for the Washington Commanders. We'll see about his hamstring. He missed last weekend. They did fine, though, without him. And Austin Eckler looked good. Chris Rodriguez looked good, and they like Jeremy McNichols. So maybe we see Brian Robinson take another week off. Good news on Isaiah Pacheco. He's got the fibula injury. They're thinking he could be back end of November, potential return of week 12 to 13, something like that. So if he was dropped in your leagues, I think you should scoop him up. Go ahead and scoop him up for the playoffs. You have Jordan Mason, questionable with a shoulder injury. Not sure we care about that. Zach Moss with the neck injury. I mean, I see Harris has a question there about Zach Moss. We can cut Zach Moss. I mean, they traded for Khalil Herbert today. It's a neck injury. They put him on IR, but what I read is that he's out indefinitely. I don't know if we're going to see Zach Moss at any point again this year. So tough loss there. And then the Bengals trading for Khalil Herbert makes me think we're not going to see Zach Moss anytime soon. So you can drop Zach Moss. Bucky Irving's got a toe injury. They just got to monitor the practice reports this week. I think we're going to see Jonathan Brooks this weekend in Germany with that knee injury. Tajay Spears, hamstring. I thought he was going to go in week number 9, but I think he's on track to maybe get ready for week 10. Damian Pierce, Texans, we'll see about him. He's questionable with a groin injury, and that's the end of the running backs. CeeDee Lamb leads the receivers with that shoulder injury. I think they could be cautious with CeeDee Lamb, going to Cooper Rush now. Who knows? We'll have to watch the practice reports. CD did say he's going to be okay, but I'm still skeptical. Not looking good for the Cowboys. They also traded for Jonathan Mingo today, which was interesting. A.J. Brown with the knee injury, a big report day for him tomorrow. I would lean towards him being doubtful, but you never know. The good news is he did avoid serious injury. Drake London with the hip pointer. I would assume he's more doubtful this weekend than questionable, but we'll watch for his reports this weekend. It's believed to not be serious, which is good news. The Texans are not really saying anything on Nico Collins yet. They're saying kind of mixed reviews right now. He might return week 10. We shall see. Big day for practice reports tomorrow. DK Metcalf, potential return for week 11 after his bye with that knee injury. Deebo Samuel, I'm expecting him to be more probable. Rib oblique injury off the bye. He should be fine. Chris Olave with that nasty concussion. I think he's doubtful. He might miss multiple games too. The Saints looking like a team that's going to blow it up. And potentially start tanking a little bit here. Mike Evans, questionable for week 12 with a hamstring. They play this week. He's not playing this week. I believe their bye is week 11 and then potential return week 12. T. Higgins, he's looking doubtful. He didn't practice today or yesterday. I'm assuming T. Higgins is not playing. Maybe he comes back week 11. Amari Cooper, questionable with a wrist injury. We'll see if he can go. Keon Coleman, also with a wrist injury. So Khalil Shakir, looking like a good play this weekend. Jawan Jennings, coming back off the bye with a hip injury. I think he's probable. He looks like a decent wide receiver 3 flex. Jalen McMillan missed the other night with a hamstring injury. We'll see if he can go. Gabe Davis missed with a shoulder injury. We'll see if he can go. Both questionable. Adam Thielen, maybe we see Thielen. He's been limiting in practice the last few games, so I think Thielen's an interesting person to potentially hold on to and see what he can do the rest of the way. Juju Smith-Schuster, we don't need to hold on to Juju anymore. He's questionable with a hamstring. I think we're done with Juju. And then Darius Slayton had a concussion. We'll watch for his reports and the protocols. And then tight ends, Dallas Goedert, hamstring. He's been out for a while. He needs to get back to practicing. I think he's more doubtful for this week. Maybe we see him back week 11. Noah Fant, questionable with the groin. And then tough loss for the Bengals there. Their rookie tight end, Eric All Jr., torn ACL, out for the year. I'm going to get to your guys' questions shortly. I'm just going to read off my list of favorite ads for this week. If you lost Dak Prescott or you had Jordan Love or Geno Smith on bye, you're looking at Sam Darnold at Jacksonville. That's one of probably the best ad. I think Bo Nix at Kansas City, he's showing that he can float and get rushing yards and throw the ball well enough to be a starting quarterback. I think Jared Goff at Houston intrigues me. Aaron Rodgers at Arizona. Tua Tagovailoa at LA Rams. Trevor Lawrence, I guess that would be the tier break. I think these other guys are the next tier for me. Trevor Lawrence versus Minnesota. Matthew Stafford versus Miami. Russell Wilson at Washington, and Daniel Jones at Carolina. The running backs, there's really not a lot of running backs to add this weekend. I did note Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Warren, Tyler Algier, Tajay Spears, Jerome Ford, and Trey Benson as my top guys that might be available, but they're probably not. Otherwise, it's a handcuff situation. You guys can maybe go add, guys like Blake Corum. We mentioned Trey Benson, Jalen Wright, maybe even Marshawn Lloyd. Look into Khalil Herbert. I think if he's going to be the RB2 going forward in Cincinnati, I like Khalil Herbert as a runner. I think he could actually be an upgrade over Zach Moss, and we'll see if he can get active for Thursday Night Football. But Khalil Herbert, one of the guys that I want to pick up this week at running back. Wide receiver, Cedric Tillman should have been picked up already. If not, Romo Dunze, Quentin Johnston could be picked up again if he was dropped over the last few games. Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, I want one of those 49ers guys. Demarcus Robinson's playing really well. I don't know how sticky that's going to be. That's going to be kind of frustrating week to week. Jerry Jeudy's looking good with the Browns. Xavier Legette for the Panthers. Ray McLeod with the Drake London injury, and then some deeper guys here. If any of these guys are available, I like putting them at the end of my bench. Christian Watson, Demario Douglas, Josh Palmer, Darius Slayton, Jalen Coker, and Adam Thielen. If you need a tight end this weekend, Mike Gesicki, in games where T. Higgins does not play, Mike Gesicki operates as the wide receiver 2 for this team. So I like Gesicki if you need a tight end this weekend for whether it's, Tucker Kraft or one of the other guys. Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, Taysom Hill, Jonnu Smith. In deeper leagues, you can look at Theo Johnson and Jatavian Sanders. And then for defenses this week, I like the Philadelphia Eagles at Dallas. I like Buffalo Bills at Indianapolis. I like the Chicago Bears against the Patriots. I like the Falcons against the Saints, and the Giants at Carolina. So, we got all the injury news and some of my favorite waiver wire pickups out of the way. I'm just going to open up some comments and see what we got going on. Good evening to JSC. Good evening to Harris. Thoughts on Garrett Wilson versus Devontae Adams? So I'm going to be pumping out my weekly rankings and my rest of season rankings tomorrow. I think I'm going to have them basically in the same tier. I don't know if I can put them in the top 10 for wide receivers because there's going to be a lot of other guys that I like, but I think they're both really, really strong wide receiver 2s, kind of top 15 guys. If I had to choose one for the rest of the year, honestly, Garrett Wilson continues to look really good. Devontae Adams still looking good, but I think I might prefer Garrett Wilson rest of season, but it's close. These guys are basically in the same tier for me. We've seen Garrett Wilson play better than Devontae Adams so far as a Jet. So I'm going to lean Garrett Wilson, but we could easily see Devontae Adams hop Garrett Wilson. But for now, I think it's a tight call. They're in the same tier for me. I don't really have a preference as to which one I own the rest of the way. Jason, good evening. His receivers are Tyreek, Pickens, Douglas, Tolbert, Legette, Pearsall, Thielen, Jameson. That's a lot. I have to drop 2. Who would you drop? For context, I'm 3-6, but can still get in. That's good to know. I think I'm probably dropping Jalen Tolbert just with the downgrade to Dak Prescott, or from Dak Prescott to Cooper Rush. I don't know if there's going to be enough room for Tolbert to be a fantasy asset. And then Leggett, Pearsall, Thielen. I'm going to keep Jameson Williams just because we've seen it from him. I think between Leggett, Pearsall, and Thielen, I'm probably just going to get rid of either Leggett or Thielen. I don't think the Panthers receiving group is going to be as fruitful as potentially it could be for Pearsall or Jameson Williams. So Leggett, Thielen, if you have a preference for either one of them, I'm fine keeping that and dumping the other. I could probably just dump Adam Thielen. He's just an old white receiver here that doesn't really have much left to give anymore. So hold on to Leggett maybe as he can get more work as the year goes on. I think I'm dumping Thielen and Tolbert. Who to stash? Charbonnet, Herbert, Davis, Warren, Allen, Algier, Spears, or Brooks. Ranked top 3 to 5. Okay. So the top handcuffs, and that's Ray Davis there. Okay. So I think Jalen Warren's the one that I want the most out of this group just because he's already getting 8 to 12 touches per game right now. And if something does happen to Najee Harris, like you got something really, really nice. And then I did note that the schedule coming up for the Steelers, it's going to get a lot more difficult. And we might see the Steelers have to, abandon the run, maybe throw the ball a little bit more. Let me open this up. They're getting Washington, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City. That's a lot. I mean, besides Cleveland, those are all good teams. So I like the runway for Jalen Warren the rest of the way. He'd probably be my number 1 guy. Number 2, I'm probably going to go Jonathan Brooks just because I want to bet on talent. I think he's really good. He could eat into Chuba Hubbard's workload the rest of the way, and I think he's playing in week 10. Now, I believe they have a bye coming up, though, week 11, so that whatever. But I do think we see Jonathan Brooks this weekend play. So I'm going to go Warren, Brooks, and then I'm going to go – I kind of want to go – that's tough because everybody's just in the same tier. Like Charbonnet, Herbert, and Algier and Davis. Like I don't really have a preference. These guys are all the same. Like they're all the clear RB2 right now. Algier at least is getting the most work among the group, so he's probably number 3. I would probably slide in Tajay Spears number 4 just because he does get receiving work. And if anything happens to Tony Pollard, Spears could be a league-winning player down the stretch, and we've seen Tajay Spears play well. So Warren, Brooks, Algier, and Spears, and then after that, like Charbonnet, Herbert, Allen, and Davis. These guys are all the clear number 2. They're not getting in the game unless there's an injury or a weird situation. So those guys I would probably rank beyond the other ones. Can you give your opinion on the situations regarding the offensive trades that happened today? Great question, Harris, there. Thank you. Let's start with Khalil Herbert. Before early in the season, Zach Moss was given the benefit of the doubt, and he was the trusted running back for the Bengals. He was their third down, kind of 2-minute drill. He's also their goal line back. But as the season has gone on, we see Chase Brown look really, really good, and he's a big play threat. So Chase Brown's going to continue to lead this team in touches going forward. But all those touches that Zach Moss was getting these last few weeks, and I'm looking at this right now, like Chase Brown dominated the touches in week 9. He had 59 snaps out of 73. He ran the ball 27 times. He just dominated everything here. Back in week 8, Zach Moss, 5 carries, 4 targets, 8 to 10 touches is kind of what we could see out of Khalil Herbert. I believe he's a good pass blocking running back too, so that could earn him some play time. But again, he's brand new with the team. We're going to see Chase Brown get a lot of work here on Thursday night. I think Khalil Herbert could be a guy that gets more work going forward. And if anything happens to Chase Brown, then you got a starter. But for at least the next 2 weeks, I'm not interested in starting Khalil Herbert. I want to see what he looks like. But again, we're not too far removed from Zach Moss being the lead back in this offense. I think there's room for Khalil Herbert to probably get, 6 to 10 carries per game. They want to keep Chase Brown healthy. I don't know if Chase Brown can hold up for 27 touches a game. So I do want to add Khalil Herbert. What other offensive trades did we have today? Mike Williams going to the Steelers. Like you could pick up Mike Williams. I'm fine with it. I just don't know if I'm ever going to feel comfortable starting Mike Williams. I did note that the schedule is going to be getting tougher for the Steelers. But Mike Williams, maybe you put him at the end of your bench, that kind of thing. What other trades did we get in the offense today? I'm just looking around here real quick. I don't think we got all that many. We got Mike Williams to the Steelers. We got Marshawn Lattimore was a big one here. Jonathan Mingo to the Cowboys. I'm not picking up Jonathan Mingo again. Just the Cooper Rush situation doesn't really excite me. So Mingo for Dynasty, maybe you could pick up Jonathan Mingo in Dynasty leagues and see if he emerges as the number 3 receiver there going forward. Any other trades here to note? We got the Herbert, we got the Mingo, we got the Mike Williams. I think those are the main offensive trades to worry about. And then, yeah, we can go ahead and drop Zach Moss there. Harris, Odunze or Leggett rest of season. It's not close. It should be Odunze. He's a much better prospect and talent. And he's one injury away from DJ Moore or Keenan Allen. You know, one of those guys goes down, Odunze is going to be a monster. So for sure, Odunze. As long as if you have patience, go with Odunze. If you need a guy to start this weekend, I might go Leggett. Should I go after Gesicki, have Ferguson, Nodak, and Kraft? I mean, I actually think Ferguson could be okay with Cooper Rush. I want to look at these Cooper Rush numbers from, was it last year? Did we see Cooper Rush last year play for a few games in 2023? Let me look here. 2023, we saw no games started for Cooper Rush, but back in 2024 or 2022, we saw Cooper Rush, throw for about 200 yards a game and a touchdown or two for a handful of games. Actually, in his 2022 season, his fantasy outputs, again, starting week number 2 of 2022, he had 13.6 points, 12.4, 17.6. He actually had some okay numbers as a starter. So I'm not afraid of Jake Ferguson. I think he could be a high floor, low yardage kind of output, but he could end up getting 5-6 catches for 40, 50 yards. So I don't hate Ferguson. I think Gesicki does have the upside. I don't want to cut either one of them, I guess. If I have to cut one of them, I suppose you can cut Ferguson, and then you're riding with Tucker Kraft the rest of the way. So if for this week, if you want to, go Gesicki, I think I'm going to rank Gesicki higher than Ferguson this week. Josh Downs or Hopkins, non-PPR. Harris, who catches touchdowns? That'll answer your question. It should be D-Hop for me, non-PPR. Give me D-Hop. What are you doing with Deontay Johnson? We're holding. He ran, 15 or 16 routes on Sunday here, which is fine. Like, we weren't, expecting much out of Deontay. He ran 17 snaps, 6 routes. I do expect him to be the third guy this weekend on a short week here against the Cincinnati Bengals. We're not starting Deontay Johnson. Let's see what he looks like. He could get a play or two dialed up for him this weekend. But I think still going forward, he's just a bench stash. He's basically a Rashad Bateman level guy, someone that we can maybe throw out in our wide receiver 3 flex for the last few games here. But we shall see. Just hold on to Deontay. If you lost Moss, would you pick up Herbert? I absolutely would. Drop Eagles for Giants. Nope, I'm holding on to the Eagles defense for this one against the who are they playing? The Cowboys. So we gotta DK Metcalf out of the lineup changes a lot of things. JSN is clearly better than Tyler Lockett at this point right now, but when Metcalf's healthy, that changes things. I still think Metcalf is the lead dog in that receiver room. So I'm going to rank DK Metcalf as that wide receiver 2 for fantasy. I'm going to rank JSN as that wide receiver 3. But if DK Metcalf misses a game, I think it's pretty safe to say JSN's he should be a top 15 receiver play. And he looks like a guy that, we should be very excited about. Seahawks don't play this weekend. I expect DK Metcalf back next weekend. But for me, when DK's healthy, I'm going to go JSN wide receiver 3. Would you drop Broncos D for Giants, Falcons, or Rams? Let me look and see. The Giants got a good matchup against Carolina, but these Denver Broncos, they're getting Kansas City this weekend. I don't want to start Kansas City. Then they get Atlanta, but then they get the Raiders, the Browns, the Colts, the Chargers, and the Bengals. I think there's probably 3 or 4 more starts left in the Broncos the rest of the way. They do have a bye week in there too. So if you wanted to get rid of the Broncos, I think I'm okay with it. Looking at the Giants, Falcons, and Rams, let me look at the Falcons defense. They're going to get the Saints this weekend, so I do like that matchup a lot. They also get Denver next weekend, which could be nice. Week 12 is their bye. Then Chargers, Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Washington. Atlanta looks pretty nice right now. I think if I'm starting one defense this weekend, give me the Falcons. I'm going to go Falcons, and I think you can drop the Broncos. Eagles or Chiefs defense this weekend. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Again, just Dallas is bottoming him out here. Eagles are starting to rise. I'm going to go Philadelphia over the Chiefs. Broncos can still score some points offensively. Would you pick up Jonnu Smith for a week 11 for I think I'm fine with it. Jonnu Smith's been one of those guys that have been playing well the last month or so. If there's really nobody else that you like, I'm okay with holding on to Jonnu. But Mike Gesicki is probably the better play. But for week 11, maybe T. Higgins is back. I think it's kind of hard to pick a guy up and hold on to him for an extra week. Let me look and see where is Gesicki? I'm trying to see who they play next weekend. Where is Gesicki? There we go. Okay. So they get the Chargers. I don't know if I'm super excited about that matchup. Chargers do give up tight end points, so I'm not opposed to it. I think I would probably just if you want to go a week early, just go Gesicki. Cooper Kupp versus Puka Nacua when healthy. I think so they're both healthy right now. Puka Nacua was ejected from that game. If I had to own one the rest of the year, I want Puka Nacua. I think it's truly 50-50. I don't have a lean either way. Just again, with it being Tuesday night, I need to see some practice reports. If he's limited tomorrow, I feel good about his potential availability this weekend. If he does not practice tomorrow, that makes me concerned because he's had 4 weeks to get healthy. So hopefully we see a limited practice from Nico tomorrow. Drop Demarcus Robinson or Josh Palmer. I'm going to hold on to Demarcus Robinson. He's just playing well. Josh Palmer's fine, but I'll drop Palmer. Giants or Falcons defense. I trust the Falcons are playing good football. The Giants just don't really play good football, so I don't trust them as much. I'm going to go Atlanta Falcons. And the Saints, man, they're not going to have Olave. It's looking like it's the Alvin Kamara New Orleans Saints, and that's all they have. So I'm going to go Falcons D. I think so. I'm keeping – I want to start adding rookies, whether it's rookie receivers, running backs, whatever you need. I want to start holding some younger players as the season goes on. Drop Tolbert or Parker Washington. I think they're both droppable in a redraft league right now. I don't really have a strong preference as to which one. And Parker Washington, the Jags kind of struggled this last Sunday here. Parker Washington 3 for 41 on 6 targets. I might hold on to Parker Washington over Tolbert just to see what's going on because I think Trevor Lawrence has been playing better. Thoughts on Travis Kelce versus Trey McBride versus Pitts? Rank them. It's not close. Pitts is the clear number 3 guy. I think it's between Kelce and Trey McBride is the 1 and 2. I'm going to lean Travis Kelce right now just because he's been a beast this last month. We've seen vintage Travis Kelce again. Maybe not as fast as he once was, but it goes Kelce, Trey McBride, Kyle Pitts. The Cardinals just struggle to throw the ball sometimes, and they don't really throw a lot of touchdowns. I think Kelce, McBride, Pitts is how I'd rank them. Who's a good quarterback pickup for the next 4 weeks? I haven't, found the ideal Dak Prescott replacement. If I have to look, ideally, you want somebody that's already had their bye week. So, if Sam Darnold's out there, he's going to get Jacksonville, Tennessee, Chicago, and Arizona. So, Sam Darnold would be the easy answer if you're missing Dak Prescott. Otherwise, maybe Russell Wilson. They're going to get Washington, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. And Russell Wilson, we've seen 2 games from him. He's gotten 13 points and about 24 points. I think those would be the first 2 that I look at. Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins. He's going to get the Rams, the Raiders, the Patriots, and the Packers, which sounds pretty good. I would probably stick to those 3 guys. My RBs, Cook, James Cook, Tony Pollard, Braylon, Corum, Mason, Garendo. My receivers, I have Nico and Seems coming back. Who do I drop for them? We're 7-2. Okay, so you have CMC and Neighbors coming back, or CMC and Nico coming back. So we like BTJ, Flowers, Dell. You're probably going to cut Deontay Johnson here. You're never going to start Deontay Johnson. And then I think I'm going to cut Jordan Mason there because I think Garendo might be their backup running back going forward. I don't think you need all 3 49ers. This is a good team, and hopefully you don't need those guys. But I think Mason and Deontay Johnson are your cuts. So I like holding on to Devin Singletary just because Singletary has looked good this year. Just Tyrone Tracy has just looked a lot better. But even at the beginning of the year when Singletary was the guy, like he was actually looking okay. But Tracy is just too hard to not give him the ball now. So my thing with Tracy is he's a little bit wild. He did have the mini concussion a few weeks ago as well. So I like Singletary. He's a handcuff. I do think he could be a nice plug and play. If Tracy misses time, we're probably starting Devin Singletary again. I don't want Andy Dalton to play the rest of the year. I think if I'm the Panthers, I want to see Bryce Young play the rest of the year and really figure out if he's their guy. So I don't think Andy Dalton plays. As long as Bryce Young's healthy, I think Andy Dalton's not going to play because Andy Dalton didn't really look good. The first 2 games, Dalton looked good, and then he started to just look worse and worse and worse. So I think it's Bryce Young's job to lose. Nope. I would not pick. You don't need Alan Lazard in Dynasty. I don't really care for it. I'd rather pick up a rookie. What do you think about Quentin Johnston rest of season? He's kind of just like a boom bust bench option. He's kind of like your 4th wide receiver. I'm never going to feel good starting him, but he's looking good. Like I'd rather have Quentin Johnston. I mean, I think I'd rather have Quentin Johnston over Xavier Legette, over like Jalen McMillan, guys like that. So I think Quentin Johnston, he's healthy. The Chargers are looking good throwing the ball too here. So that does help me out a little bit. And we've seen Johnston have very nice moments throughout the year. He's had some low lows, but I think Johnston's the guy that I want as my wide receiver 4 or 5 right now. I mean, I don't think the Lamb injury is all that serious. But I also don't think Jalen Tolbert is a wide receiver 1. If you put a number 1 cornerback against Jalen Tolbert, I don't think he's going to have the success that he's having right now. So I would argue that Tolbert needs CeeDee Lamb to be healthy for him to be at his best. So I'm not super interested in Jalen Tolbert. Again, the next 4 games here, we might even see Trey Lance play at some point here. I think if you're starting Jalen Tolbert this weekend, it's a very risky play. It could be 2 for 15. Otherwise, who knows what the ceiling is, but not super into Jalen Tolbert. Freiermuth or Dalton Schultz rest of season. I mean, these are both bad tight end ones. If I had to choose one, I guess I'll go Pat Freiermuth. I'll drop Trey Palmer and keep Parker. I mean, just because Pacheco's back doesn't mean they're going to give him 20 touches right away. So I do think we're going to see a commit. And right now, the Chiefs are doing a full-blown committee. Kareem Hunt plays on 1st and 2nd down. Samaje Perine comes in for 3rd down and 2-minute offense. And then Carson Steele rotates in every now and then. So they're rotating backs heavily right now. I think when Pacheco comes back, maybe they give him, 5 to 10 touches that first game and let him kind of get his legs underneath him. They're thinking the Super Bowl run here, so they're not going to just come out and give him 20 carries right away. So I do think for that first game or 2, Kareem Hunt's still going to be a guy that could be the goal line back. He could still get a lot of the 1st and 2nd down work. Maybe they mix in Pacheco as, 3rd down, 2-minute stuff. So it's going to be a work in progress, and we still don't really have an exact date. Like we need to see Pacheco activated from the IR first, get his practice window going, and then I would think, 2 games after that, then is when I would expect him to play. So I think we're still a ways away from seeing Pacheco again. If I had to guess when Pacheco is going to play, week 10, Denver 11, I'm still thinking week 12 to 13 would be the best chance for Pacheco. So maybe Pacheco's in our fantasy lineups by weeks 14 and 15, and Hunt is more of like a boom bust tight running back 2. Russell Wilson or Herbert for this weekend, I'm going to go this weekend. I kind of want to go Russell Wilson. I'm going to go Russell Wilson against Washington. I like Herbert, but they got a little bit tougher matchup on paper here going up against Tennessee. I don't expect them to have to throw the ball a ton against Tennessee, whereas the Steelers are going to have to keep up with the Commanders. I think that could be a good game environment for Russell Wilson. Should I pick up Demarcus Robinson? I'm fine with Demarcus Robinson. I don't know if I'm comfortable starting him this weekend. He is the clear number 3, so you're kind of hoping, for 7-point floor, and if he catches the touchdown, that gets you the 15 to 20. But Demarcus Robinson should be owned. Just again, we've seen Puka and Cooper Kupp have dinged up injuries throughout the year. Rank the Chargers rest of season. the receivers the rest of season, I mean, it's very clear Ladd McConkey still to me. He's the guy that I want in PPR formats. And then number 2, Quentin Johnston, just the big playability. Josh Palmer, number 3. I don't even want to rank anybody else because we haven't seen DJ Chark yet. So McConkey, QJ, and Palmer would be my ranking there. He did. He did tear it up in that game. He's not, that's not really the profile that I want to start as my wide receiver 3 every week. I think he's a good bench option, but he's kind of an emergency start. He's a good starting player when one of Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua are out. But I would imagine, I mean, he caught 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weekends. I don't know if he's going to catch 4 touchdowns the rest of the way. So I don't think he's a legit starting option yet. I think he's a quality flex option at the moment. Warren or Singletary, rest of season, I'm still going to go Warren, and this weekend Warren as well. Rank them rest of season: Marvin, D-Hop, McConkey, Leggett. It looks like DeAndre Hopkins is the guy that I want the rest of season. I'm going to continue to rank Marvin Harrison Jr. number 2 just because I want to bet on the talent. And they rushed for 3 touchdowns early, and they just killed the Bears. They didn't have to throw the ball here. So I still am in on Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to go D-Hop, Marvin, McConkey, and Leggett a clear number 4. This one's Hunter Henry for me. He's looking really good with Drake May. The last month or so, Hunter Henry's been a pretty dependable tight end. I like Jonnu Smith, but he doesn't really have the touchdown upside or some of that volume upside that Hunter Henry has. Demarcus Robinson or Juwan Jennings. I'm personally going to go with Juwan Jennings because I think he's going to operate as the clear number 2 receiver in San Francisco. And, you also have Deebo Samuel, who's been dinged up and in and out of the lineup. So we could see Juwan Jennings actually be the lead receiving target for some games down the stretch here. I think it's for Demarcus Robinson to get that. It's going to take another injury or 2 to Kupp or Nacua. So I personally would rather have Juwan Jennings, but it's decently close. Jahmyr Gibbs or Alvin Kamara. I don't trust the Saints worth a damn, so I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs. That's one of the best offenses in football. I think Kamara, the way they're running him, like he's at a high injury risk right now. The Saints they just fired their coach. They're on the verge of, I think, what could be a pretty bad collapse. Leggett or Warren, that's a tough question because it really depends on what you need. If Warren's your RB5, you don't really need Warren. If Warren's your RB3, you need Warren. So I don't know. I think I'd rather have Warren rest of season just because I value running backs a little bit more. It's still Jaden Daniels. It's still Jaden Daniels. We haven't seen Mahomes really hit that extra gear yet. He's starting to look better, which is nice, but Mahomes still has not. He's got 1 game over 20 fantasy points, and that was last weekend. So Jaden Daniels, and it's still not close. Chargers defense or the Falcons defense. And I do got to get going here shortly, guys. So if you have any final questions, please get them in there. We'll be closing up here for the night. Chargers defense or Falcons defense? I'm going with the Chargers. They're at home against Tennessee, probably one of the worst offenses in football. I feel pretty good about the Chargers right now. They're playing pretty good. They look like a playoff team. So I'll go Chargers. Just to complete your bench and a half PPR, I'm gonna if this is the last player on your team, I'm gonna lean the running back just because you just always need running backs. You can always find a receiver to plug in there. Running backs are a little bit harder to find, so I'm gonna stick with Warren. Bijan or Saquon for this weekend? It's Bijan. Bijan against the Saints, man. I still think the Dallas Cowboys are gonna have some fight to them, especially on defense if they get Micah Parsons back. I'm going to lean Bijan Robinson at New Orleans. I just think New Orleans doesn't have much fight. And Bijan's just been catching so many passes lately. Do you still like trading for Ridley? I mean, I don't love trading for Ridley. It really depends on what you're buying him for. But Ridley's fine. He's going to continue to be a wide receiver 3 flex the rest of the way. I'm a little bit nervous because I think his value is higher with Mason Rudolph than it is with Will Levis. And I do think we're going to see Will Levis sooner than later. So I don't like trading for Ridley. I'm fine. If that's all I can get, I think I'm fine with it. And hey, have a good night, Daniel. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And last question for the night, Jefferson or Chase rest of the way? I got to go Justin Jefferson. I'm putting out my rest of season rankings tomorrow, and now with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and the Cowboys out, I think I gotta go JJ 1. I'm probably gonna put Chase at 2, maybe 3. We're gonna go Justin Jefferson here. He's playing way too good. Trade away Bigsby or Javonte. Probably Bigsby. Just with ETN back now, Jags aren't really going to win a lot of games the rest of the way. I mean, I think they're both trade. Like, you can both trade them away. I'd let somebody pick which one they want. I think I'm fine starting either one. But if it's a half PPR to full PPR, I'll hold on to Javonte Williams. But that's going to do it for me tonight, guys. I do want to get out of here a little bit earlier. Tomorrow night we'll be going live 7 p.m. Central Time. I'll give you guys the full hour tomorrow night. So hopefully you guys went out and voted today. We're going to enjoy the rest of the evening. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then. Peace. Got me feeling icy.